She left her billionaire fiancé at the altar, only to expose her own father's darkest secret. Now, the world is watching. Will she choose love or legacy? The man who left his bride to save his dying mother. Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Afritale 38. Remember to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section, and generously hit the like button because it means a lot to us. Please relax and enjoy as we dive in the story. The wedding that wasn't. The morning sun rose over the wealthy city of Bellwood, lighting up the sky with soft gold. The city buzzed with excitement. It was a day like no other. Today was a wedding of the year. The wedding of Nathaniel Kane, the billionaire tech genius, and Cassandra Royce, the beautiful daughter of media tycoon Gerald Royce. Billboard displayed their pre-wedding photos. Every major TV station covered the event live. Social media was flooded with hashtags like #RoyalLove, #KaneRoyceUnion, and #WeddingOfTheYear. Even children knew their names. The wedding venue was set in the most expensive estate near Bellwood Hills, with white roses, golden chairs, and a fountain that flowed champagne. Dignitaries, celebrities, politicians, and foreign guests arrived in limousines and private helicopters. The air was filled with joy, laughter, and the sweet scent of expensive perfumes. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. Cassandra's room, 10:30 a.m. Cassandra stood in front of the mirror, looking like a dream. Her wedding gown was custom-made in Paris, stitched with real pearls and crystals. Her makeup was flawless. Her hair was styled like a queen's. But her smile was nervous. "Why isn't he here yet?" she asked softly. "Don't worry," Cass, her maid of honor, Larissa, replied. "Grooms are always late. Nathaniel is probably just making sure everything is perfect." Cassandra nodded slowly, but her heart raced. She had waited her whole life for this day. Nathaniel was her prince. When they met at a charity gala 2 years ago, he'd said, "I don't believe in love at first sight, until now." They fell in love fast. He was kind, quiet, and generous. She was bold, beautiful, and full of life. People called them the perfect match. And today, they were to become husband and wife. But as the clock ticked, the perfect day began to fall apart. The groom's room, 11 a.m. Nathaniel sat in a quiet room alone, dressed in a white tuxedo, holding a small black box. Inside was a diamond ring worth millions, one he had personally designed. But his mind wasn't on the ring or the wedding. His phone buzzed. "Caller, St. Jude Community Hospital." He answered quickly. "Mr. Kane." The nurse said, "Your mother's condition has worsened. You need to come now." Nathaniel froze. "What? But how bad is it?" "She collapsed an hour ago. The doctors say her heart is failing. She keeps asking for you. Please, sir, she doesn't have long." His heart pounded in his chest. "I'll be there," he whispered. He looked at his reflection in the mirror. Behind him, the world expected a wedding. But inside him, his soul screamed for his mother. She had raised him alone, working 3 jobs to feed him, clothe him, and send him to school. She had sold her jewelry to buy him his first laptop. Everything he was today, every line of code, every business win, every dollar in his account, was because of her. And now, she was dying, while he stood here in a white suit waiting to say, "I do." Nathaniel stood up, picked up his car keys, and walked toward the door. The wedding lawn, 12:15 p.m. Guests started checking their watches. Some whispered. Others looked around. The bride was ready. The guests were seated. The music had played 3 times. But there was no groom. The wedding planner, a short woman named Miss Judy, ran back and forth in panic. "Has anyone seen the groom? Please, has anyone spoken to Mr. Kane?" In the bridal suite, Cassandra waited silently. Her makeup was still perfect, but tears had started forming in her eyes. "He's not coming, is he?" Larissa held her hand. "Don't think like that. Nathaniel loves you. Maybe there's traffic. Or maybe—" But before she could finish, someone knocked. It was one of Nathaniel's assistants, holding a small white envelope. Cassandra took it slowly, her hand shaking. She opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. "Cass, I'm so sorry. My mother collapsed. She's dying. I can't let her leave this world alone. I didn't plan this. Please forgive me. I'll explain everything soon. Nathaniel. She stared at the paper, then collapsed onto the couch in shock. He left, she whispered. He really left. 3 p.m. the news breaks. Within hours, the story was everywhere. Billionaire groom abandons bride on wedding day. Kane-Royce wedding ends in chaos. Bride left alone at the altar. Reporters surrounded the estate. Helicopters followed Nathaniel's private car. Talk shows debated his decision. People online were divided. Some said, "He's a hero. Family comes first. I would have done the same." Others said, "He's a coward. You don't walk out on your bride like that." Cassandra's father, Gerald Royce, was furious. His reputation was at stake. He blamed Nathaniel publicly and promised legal action. "You humiliated my daughter. You embarrassed my family. I will not let this go," he told the press. But Nathaniel didn't hear any of it. St. Jude Hospital, 6:45 p.m. Nathaniel walked into the hospital room, his eyes red, his white tux now creased and dusty. His mother, Margaret Kane, lay on the bed, thin and pale, tubes in her arms. She smiled weakly. "My boy," she whispered. "You came." He took her hand, tears falling. "Of course, Mom. I'm here." She looked into his eyes. "You left the wedding." "I had to. You're my mother. You gave me everything. I can't let you go alone." Margaret smiled again, tears running down her cheeks. Then, "I'm the happiest woman in the world." She closed her eyes and breathed her last breath, a silence that screamed. Nathaniel sat by her body long after the machines went silent. He held her hand until it was cold. He didn't care about the world, not the cameras, not the guests, not the angry father, not even Cassandra. He had fulfilled the vow that mattered most, to be by his mother's side, but he knew what waited for him outside. A storm. Bellwood. 2 days later. Nathaniel returned to Bellwood with a heavy heart and a soul filled with grief. But the city didn't welcome him. Reporters shouted questions. Friends turned their backs. Cassandra refused to speak to him. Gerald Royce filed a lawsuit for public disgrace. But Nathaniel said nothing. He buried his mother in the small village where he was born. No cameras. No guests. Just him and a grave. Yet in his silence, the world got louder. Social media called him heartless. Others praised him for choosing family over fame. The public was divided. But one thing was certain. Nathaniel Kane was no longer just a billionaire tech genius. He had become the man who left his bride at the altar. The blame game. City turns against Nathaniel. Cassandra breaks. Gerald plots revenge. Public opinion splits sharply. It had been 3 days since the wedding disaster, but the city of Bellwood still hadn't stopped talking. Everywhere you went, cafes, offices, salons, markets, the story echoed like thunder. Nathaniel Kane left Cassandra Royce on their wedding day. But what truly shocked people wasn't just the abandonment. It was why. Some couldn't believe a billionaire would walk away from a high-profile wedding to hold his mother's hand during her final moments. Others believed it was a well-rehearsed lie. Morning talk shows. Was it love or a lie? TV screens flickered across the country with talk show hosts dressed in bright suits and dramatic faces. Everyone had an opinion. One host, Brenda Shine, leaned forward and asked, "Let's be real. How many of you would ditch your wedding for a sick parent?" Him? This is Nathaniel Kane we're talking about. He had the world watching, and now he's got the world judging. The camera cut to guests shaking their heads. Another show, Real Moments with Pastor Zeke, took a different tone. Sometimes what's right doesn't look right to people. The pastor said gently, "The man chose his dying mother. Can we blame him?" The comment section online exploded. "He's a true son. Respect. He ruined Cassandra's life. Selfish. This man is traumatized. Let him grieve." But one person hadn't spoken yet. Cassandra. Cassandra's world broke in silence. Cassandra locked herself in her room for days. Her wedding dress still lay across the couch, untouched. The makeup artist brushes remained on the table. Her bouquet had dried and withered. She watched the video footage again. She had walked down the aisle alone, smiling nervously. The music had played. The guests had risen, but there had been no groom, no Nathaniel, only shame. Anger boiled in her chest. She felt humiliated. She felt betrayed. Her phone rang, again and again. Her friends, the media, her father. But she ignored them all until her father walked into the room. Gerald Royce never knocked. He owned everything. His media empire, the estate, and even Cassandra's public image. "Cass, you have to speak," he said, holding a folder full of legal papers. "He's turning the story around. People are beginning to pity him. We can't allow that." She looked up slowly. "So what do you want me to do? Lie?" "No," he said with a cold smile. "We show the world how broken you are. They'll hate him more." "But what if he really went to see his mother?" Gerald narrowed his eyes. "And left you to be mocked on TV? No, we control the story now. You're going to give an exclusive interview. And you're going to cry, Cassandra. A lot." The interview, Cassandra Speaks. 2 days later, Cassandra appeared on Global Spotlight with a pale face, dark circles under her eyes, and a soft voice. "I was ready to start a new life with Nathaniel," she began. "I loved him. I truly did. But when I walked down that aisle, he wasn't there. I kept hoping he would show. I waited and waited, but he never came." The host handed her a tissue. "I don't blame him for loving his mother," she continued, voice shaking. "But he could have told me. He could have sent someone. I deserved more than a note." The clip went viral. Everyone shared it. News outlets replayed it. The public cried with her. Her words pierced hearts around the world. He broke her spirit. No woman deserves this. She handled it with grace. The sympathy shifted. Cassandra became the face of heartbreak. Nathaniel became the villain. Meanwhile, at the Kane mansion, Nathaniel watched the interview on his laptop, sitting alone in the dark with only his mother's photo beside him. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept much. And he certainly hadn't spoken to anyone. Tears welled in his eyes as he saw Cassandra crying. "I never meant to hurt her," he whispered. His assistant, Liam, entered the room cautiously. "Sir, we're receiving calls from investors. Some are worried about the media attention." Nathaniel didn't reply. "There's also been a rise in online threats. Some say you staged your mother's illness to escape the wedding." That made Nathaniel turn sharply. "That's a lie." "I know, sir, but people believe what they see." Nathaniel sat back, exhausted. He had built his company from scratch. He had donated millions to the sick and the poor. But one choice, one personal, painful decision, had painted him as the enemy. And Gerald Royce was making sure it stayed that way. Gerald's game. Gerald Royce knew the media like a chessboard. He made one move, Cassandra's tearful interview, and the world danced to his tune. But he wasn't done yet. Next, he leaked private wedding emails, suggesting Nathaniel had shown signs of cold feet. Then he arranged for fake guests to appear on TV and claimed they saw Nathaniel laughing before vanishing. Finally, he hinted at a shocking idea. What if Nathaniel had another woman? It was a lie, but a powerful one, and the media ate it up. Nathaniel's breaking point. One night, Nathaniel drove to the only place he felt peace, his mother's grave. The cemetery was quiet. The air was cold. He knelt beside her tombstone, his voice trembling. "Mom, I don't regret choosing you, but I think I've lost everything because of it." He buried his face in his hands. "I love Cassandra. I wanted a future with her, but now the world thinks I'm a monster." He sat in silence until dawn. When he finally stood up, something had changed in him. He wasn't going to hide anymore. A new plan. Nathaniel returned home and made one phone call. "Liam," he said firmly, "schedule a press conference. Tomorrow." "Are you sure?" "Yes. It's time I speak my truth." The press conference, my side of the story. Reporters gathered like bees outside the tall glass building of Kane Tech HQ. Cameras flashed. Mics were raised. Nathaniel stood tall in a black suit, no longer the silent billionaire, but a man ready to defend his heart. He stepped up to the podium and took a deep breath. 3 days ago, he began, "I made a painful decision. On what should have been the happiest day of my life, I left my wedding. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I didn't leave out of fear. Or cold feet. I left because my mother Margaret Kane was dying. I had one chance to say goodbye, and I took it. His voice cracked slightly, but he continued. I wrote a note. I wish I had done more. I wish I had spoken to Cassandra directly. I was overwhelmed. But I will not apologize for being a son. He paused, letting his words sink in. To those calling me a liar, I have hospital records, doctor reports, and a timeline. You'll find copies in your press kits. He stepped down, ignoring the storm of questions. Public reaction, division grows. That night, #I support Nathaniel began trending. His fans returned. Some celebrities praised his strength. Women who had lost mothers reached out in support. But Cassandra's fans doubled down. Too little, too late. He's only speaking now to save his image. Real love doesn't walk away, not even for family. The city was split. Nathaniel was both hero and villain. Cassandra was both victim and puppet. Gerald, however, was just getting started. Because for him, this wasn't about love anymore. It was about war. Broken pieces. Nathaniel grieves, Cassandra questions love, Gerald plots deeper revenge, and secrets begin unraveling. Rain fell over Bellwood, washing the city's glowing lights into blurry reflections. The streets looked calm, but underneath, emotions boiled. Nathaniel Kane and Cassandra Royce were no longer just a couple caught in scandal. They were symbols of a love torn apart, and everyone had chosen sides. But the real storm was happening behind closed doors. Nathaniel, alone with grief. Inside his mansion, Nathaniel sat in the study, the fireplace barely warming the cold air around him. He had spent the entire week trying to grieve his mother quietly, but the media wouldn't stop. Neither would his guilt. Her photo sat on the table beside him. Margaret Kane, the smiling woman who had once sold oranges to feed him. He remembered how she coughed constantly for the last 6 months, refusing to go to the hospital until it was too late. I should have done more, he whispered. I should have made her quit those jobs. I should have brought her closer. His phone buzzed. Messages. Death threats. Investor concerns. Fake rumors. He switched it off. He didn't want to deal with the world anymore. But he knew he had to. Because the scandal wasn't just ruining his image. It was breaking his company, his reputation, and his heart. Cassandra, questioning everything. At the Royce mansion, Cassandra sat by her window, staring into the gray sky. She hadn't spoken to Nathaniel since that day. She'd seen his press conference. She'd read his statement. And part of her believed him. She remembered how he spoke about his mother with such love. How his eyes lit up when he showed her old pictures of their tiny apartment. How he said, "She's my reason for everything." But another part of her still hurt. He had left her. He hadn't called. Hadn't tried to explain in person. He had just disappeared. Larissa, her best friend, entered quietly. "Cass, are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "You saw his press conference?" "Yes." "What did you think?" Cassandra bit her lip. "I think he told the truth. But I also think love should have found a way to do both. Save his mother and not leave me behind." Gerald, setting traps. Meanwhile, Gerald Royce sat in his private office, phone in one hand, glass of wine in the other. His lawyer sat across from him with files and options. "He's recovering," Gerald said coldly. "People are starting to feel sorry for him." "Yes, sir," the lawyer replied, "but we can delay the sympathy. We've dug something up." He opened a folder. It contained documents, old ones, showing that Nathaniel's company, Kane Tech, once partnered with a health foundation that had shut down after a fraud scandal. Nathaniel wasn't involved directly, but his signature had appeared on one overlooked file. "It's weak," the lawyer admitted, "but the public doesn't care about details." Gerald smiled. "Perfect. Leak it anonymously. Let them burn him again." He paused and added, "And I want a full background check on his assistant, Liam. If we find even one scandal, we bury him with it." Nathaniel, betrayal inside the walls. At Kane Tech, Nathaniel sat in a tense board meeting. The directors were nervous. Stocks were slipping. Sponsors were pulling out. "We're not saying you did anything wrong," said one director, an older man named Mr. Huang. But perception is dangerous, Nathaniel. The Royce media empire is painting you as unstable. I spoke my truth, Nathaniel said firmly. And yet, the world still doubts you. Another director slid a folder forward. There's also concern about your assistant. His name has popped up in some of the new rumors. Nathaniel frowned. Liam? His loyal. He would never. But inside, he wasn't so sure anymore. That night, he checked Liam's messages. Nothing. No suspicious calls. No leaks. Until he opened an email on the office server and saw Liam's name attached to a message forwarded to a Royce insider. His heart sank. Cassandra, a visit from the past. Late that evening, Cassandra walked through her mother's garden, trying to find peace. But instead, she found her ex-boyfriend, Declan Moore, waiting near the gate with a sly smile. Declan, she asked in shock. He bowed slightly. I heard about the wedding. Thought I'd check on you. Cassandra stepped back. How did you get in? Your father invited me, he replied. She sighed. Gerald again. He never liked Nathaniel. He always believed Declan, a rising politician from a wealthy family, was the better choice. Cassandra, Declan said gently, I know we ended badly, but if I had been in Nathaniel's place, I wouldn't have left you. She narrowed her eyes. Don't use my pain to win points. Declan, that's cruel. He raised his hands. Just wanted to say, if you ever need a real man, you know where to find me. She walked away in silence, but deep inside, a question lingered. Was Nathaniel the real man? Or was her father right all along? Nathaniel, confrontation. The next day, Nathaniel called Liam to his office. The moment Liam entered, Nathaniel held up a printed copy of the leaked email. What is this? Nathaniel asked, voice low but dangerous. Liam looked at it. His face fell. Sir, I swear I didn't send that. But it came from your ID. Liam paused. I left my system unlocked once. At a conference. It could have been anyone. Gerald Royce. Liam looked nervous. Maybe. Nathaniel paced. You've worked with me for 5 years. You know how much I trusted you. If you betrayed me... I didn't, Liam said, eyes wide. But you're right. We've got a mole. And Gerald is playing dirty. Nathaniel nodded. Then let's play smarter. Cassandra, torn. Cassandra sat at a vanity table, scrolling through old photos of her and Nathaniel. Their first charity event. Their beach trip. Their quiet dinner after he proposed. She smiled, then sighed. Her heart was torn in two. She loved him. But could she ever trust him again? Then her phone buzzed. A message. From Nathaniel. I know you're hurting. I don't blame you. But please, let me talk to you. In person. One last time. She stared at it. Should she say yes? The meeting. At a quiet cafe, away from cameras, Nathaniel waited nervously. He wore a simple jacket. No guards. No press. Just him. A man in love. A man who made a mistake, but not a betrayal. Cassandra arrived in a blue dress, eyes guarded. They sat in silence for a few minutes before Nathaniel finally said, Thank you for coming. She nodded. I'm not here to beg, he continued. I just want you to know, I didn't plan to leave you. I didn't want to. But when I got that call, everything else faded. My mother gave me everything, and I had to give her those final moments. Cassandra's eyes welled up. I believe you. Nathaniel looked up, surprised. I believe you, she repeated. But that doesn't erase the pain. You should have told me. You should have found a way. I know, he whispered. I loved you, she said, voice shaking. Maybe I still do, but I don't know if I can be with someone who disappears when I need him the most. She stood up. I need time. Nathaniel didn't stop her. He just watched her walk away. Again, a twist from the past. As Cassandra drove home, her phone rang. It was her aunt, her mother's younger sister who lived abroad. Cassandra, her aunt said breathlessly, I've been trying to reach your father, but I can't. It's important. What's wrong? It's about your mother's death. It wasn't just an accident. She was healthy, strong, but after she started fighting your father over company shares, she got sick, very fast, too fast. What are you saying? I'm saying your father may have had something to do with it. Cassandra's hand began to shake. Could this be true? Was her father not just controlling, but dangerous? Nathaniel, he always believed Declan, a rising politician from a wealthy family, was a better choice. Cassandra, Declan said gently, I know we ended badly, but if I had been in Nathaniel's place, I wouldn't have left you. She narrowed her eyes. Don't use my pain to win points. Declan, that's cruel. He raised his hands. Just wanted to say, if you ever need a real man, you know where to find me. She walked away in silence. But deep inside, a question lingered. Was Nathaniel the real man? Or was her father right all along? Nathaniel, confrontation. The next day, Nathaniel called Liam to his office. The moment Liam entered, Nathaniel held up a printed copy of the leaked email. What is this? Nathaniel asked, voice low but dangerous. Liam looked at it. His face fell. Sir, I swear, I didn't send that. But it came from your ID. Liam paused. I left my system unlocked once. At a conference. It could have been anyone. Gerald Royce. Liam looked nervous. Maybe. Nathaniel paced. You've worked with me for 5 years. You know how much I trusted you. If you betrayed me... I didn't, Liam said, eyes wide. But you're right. We've got a mole. And Gerald is playing dirty. Nathaniel nodded. Then let's play smarter. Cassandra, torn. Cassandra sat at her vanity table, scrolling through old photos of her and Nathaniel. Their first charity event. Their beach trip. Their quiet dinner after he proposed. She smiled, then sighed. Her heart was torn in two. She loved him. But could she ever trust him again? Then her phone buzzed. A message from Nathaniel. I know you're hurting. I don't blame you. But please, let me talk to you. In person. One last time. She stared at it. Should she say yes? The meeting. At a quiet cafe, away from cameras, Nathaniel waited nervously. He wore a simple jacket, no guards, no press. Just him. A man in love. A man who made a mistake. But not a betrayal. Cassandra arrived in a blue dress, eyes guarded. They sat in silence for a few minutes before Nathaniel finally said, Thank you for coming. She nodded. I'm not here to beg, he continued. I just want you to know. I didn't plan to leave you. I didn't want to. But when I got that call, everything else faded. My mother gave me everything. And I had to give her those final moments. Cassandra's eyes welled up. I believe you. Nathaniel looked up, surprised. I believe you, she repeated. But that doesn't erase the pain. You should have told me. You should have found a way. I know, he whispered. I loved you, she said, voice shaking. Maybe I still do, but I don't know if I can be with someone who disappears when I need him the most. She stood up. I need time. Nathaniel didn't stop her. He just watched her walk away. Again. A twist from the past. As Cassandra drove home, her phone rang. It was her aunt, her mother's younger sister who lived abroad. Cassandra, her aunt said breathlessly, I've been trying to reach your father, but I can't. It's important. What's wrong? It's about your mother's death. It wasn't just an accident. She was healthy, strong, but after she started fighting your father over company shares, she got sick, very fast, too fast. What are you saying? I'm saying your father may have had something to do with it. Cassandra's hands began to shake. Could this be true? Was her father not just controlling, but dangerous? The mask falls. Cassandra uncovers dark secrets. Gerald's empire trembles. Nathaniel prepares to strike back. The night was unusually quiet in Bellwood. It was a kind of silence that came before a storm, not outside, but inside people's hearts. And at the center of it all stood 3 people, Cassandra Royce, her father Gerald, and Nathaniel Kane. One heartbroken, one betrayed, one hiding a secret darker than anyone imagined. Cassandra, the seed of doubt. Cassandra couldn't sleep. Her aunt's words kept ringing in her ears. It wasn't just an accident. Your mother was strong, healthy. She never had health issues. Cassandra remembered how fast her mother had changed. The sudden headaches, the confusion, the hospital trips, the final seizure, and how her father acted distant the entire time. Was it grief or guilt? She got out of bed, walked to the family library, and unlocked her mother's old drawer. Tucked deep inside were medical reports, handwritten notes, and a small black journal. She opened it. The first page read, "If anything happens to me, don't trust Gerald." Her hands trembled. Page after page, her mother had written about tension with Gerald, how he didn't want her involved in the media company anymore, how he wanted everything in his name, and how she feared he'd do anything to make that happen. Cassandra dropped the book, horrified. The man she called Dad might have poisoned the woman who gave her life. Nathaniel, digging deeper. Meanwhile, Nathaniel wasn't resting either. He had assigned a private investigator to trace Gerald's recent activities. His enemies weren't just the press now. They were inside the Royce mansion. And if he wanted peace, he needed truth. The next morning, his investigator returned with a file. "I found this in a hidden account linked to one of Gerald's offshore firms," the man said. "Payments made to a doctor, large sums, right around the time Cassandra's mother died." Nathaniel's jaw tightened. Motive? Looks like Mrs. Royce was about to rewrite her will. She wanted to leave half of her shares to Cassandra, not Gerald. He closed the file slowly. So Gerald had everything to gain from her death, and everything to lose if the truth came out. Nathaniel stared into the distance. It's time Cassandra knew everything. Cassandra, a dangerous discovery. That morning, Cassandra didn't eat breakfast with her father. Instead, she drove straight to the city's Medical Research Institute. She wanted a second opinion on her mother's medical files. She met with a quiet, intelligent doctor named Dr. Elena James, who reviewed the documents carefully. "Some of these test results are suspicious," Dr. Elena said. "The reports show abnormal levels of certain chemicals, ones that can be found in untraceable poisons." Cassandra gasped. Could this have been done on purpose? The doctor looked uneasy. "It's possible, but proving it legally would be very hard, especially against someone as powerful as your father." Cassandra left the clinic numb. The truth was taking shape, and it looked nothing like the perfect family she once believed in. Gerald, the control slipping. That night, Gerald Royce poured himself a glass of whiskey and stared at the TV. News anchors discussed the ongoing Kane-Royce feud, most siding with Cassandra. But the story had cooled down. His plan to ruin Nathaniel's name had stalled. He didn't know Cassandra had already started questioning him. He didn't know Nathaniel had proof. And he didn't know his past was about to catch up with him. Suddenly, his daughter walked into the room. "We need to talk," she said coldly. He smiled. "Of course, sweetheart. Come sit." "I read Mom's journal." His face twitched. "I visited a doctor. I got second opinions. She didn't die naturally. Dad, you lied." The smile vanished. "You're being dramatic." "Am I? What about the offshore accounts? The payments to Dr. Wesley?" Gerald stood up sharply. "What's your tone, Cassandra?" "No, you watch yours, because I'm not a child anymore, and I'm not afraid of you." She stormed out of the room, and for the first time in years, Gerald Royce felt afraid. Nathaniel, a surprise visitor. Later that evening, Nathaniel sat in his garden, watching the stars, when a soft knock came at the gate. It was Cassandra. She looked tired, emotional, but determined. "I need to talk," she said. He led her inside quietly. They sat down. No guards, no press, just silence. "I know what my father did," she finally said. "I have evidence. I read my mom's journal." She was scared of him. Nathaniel's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry." "I don't know why I'm telling you this," she whispered. "Maybe because you're the only person who hasn't tried to use me." "You loved her," he said. "That's enough." Cassandra held back tears. I should have trusted you, she whispered. You were telling the truth, and I didn't see it. Nathaniel reached across the table and took her hand. You were hurting, he said. I understand. She looked at him. I'm going to bring him down, but I need your help. Nathaniel nodded. Whatever you need, I'm with you. Gerald, panic mode. The next morning, Gerald received a call from a private number. Your daughter is meeting with Nathaniel, the voice said. She's planning something. Gerald slammed the phone down and stormed into Cassandra's room. She wasn't there. He opened her closet half empty. Her bags were gone. He screamed. She's turned against me, he hissed. Fine. If she wants war, I'll give her war. He called his legal team. Prepare to freeze her accounts, block her media rights, cut her out of every asset, and find something, anything, I can use against Kane. I want him destroyed before the week ends. The plan, building the case. Nathaniel and Cassandra met in secret locations, quiet cafes, hotel lobbies, his late mother's tiny apartment. Together, they worked on a legal case, old files, suspicious payments, journal entries, witness testimonies. They contacted Cassandra's aunt. She agreed to testify. They found Dr. Wesley's assistant, who had seen Gerald hand him envelopes during the final days of Mrs. Royce's illness. Piece by piece, they built a case strong enough to bring down a king. The threat, one last move. But Gerald was not done. One evening, Cassandra received a parcel. No return address. Inside was a video flash drive. She plugged it in. It was security footage of Nathaniel from a year ago. He had pushed a man outside a bar during an argument. The man fell hard. There was no police report, but the footage looked violent. A note came with it. Still think is innocent? Choose wisely, Cassandra. Love or legacy? Dad? She stared at the screen in horror. Nathaniel had never told her about this. Was he hiding something? Too? Love or legacy? Cassandra confronts Nathaniel. Painful truth emerges. Their alliance cracks. Gerald gains dangerous ground. The morning was heavy with tension. The kind of morning where even the air felt tight. The kind where emotions threatened to explode. Cassandra sat in the hotel room she now called home, far from her father's mansion, far from the cameras, and far from peace. In her hand was a flash drive. On the screen, Nathaniel Kane, a year younger, shoving a man outside a bar. The man hit the ground hard. No blood, no police. But the video didn't lie. Her heart pounded. Was she fighting beside a man she didn't fully know? The confrontation. Later that day, Cassandra met Nathaniel at the old lakeside garden they used to visit together. It was quiet, peaceful, but her face was anything but calm. She didn't say hello. She simply pulled out the flash drive and held it up. You didn't tell me, she said. Nathaniel's smile disappeared. His entire body went still. Where did you get that? My father sent it, she replied. He thinks this will break us. Nathaniel sighed and sat on a bench. It wasn't what it looked like. Then tell me what it was, she said, folding her arms. He looked up at her. That night was messy, he began. I had just closed a deal. My team and I went out to celebrate. I wasn't drunk, but I was tired. A man outside the bar was harassing a waitress, grabbing her arm, calling her names. She asked for help. I stepped in. And you shoved him. He shoved me first. I reacted. Cassandra narrowed her eyes. Why didn't you report it? Nathaniel's jaw clenched. Because he threatened to sue. Said he'd ruin me in the press. My legal team paid him off quietly. I didn't want another scandal. You hid it from me. I wasn't proud of it. Cassandra looked away, her heart aching. I left everything behind to fight beside you, Nathaniel. I need to know who I'm standing with. Nathaniel stood up and gently placed his hand over Hayes. You're standing with a man who made mistakes, but never one I wouldn't own. Gerald, playing the next card. In his private office, Gerald Royce watched a security feed showing Cassandra's hotel. His personal guard had placed hidden cameras in the hallway. She showed him the video. The guard reported. Gerald smiled. Good. that will plant doubt. But so, the lawsuit they are building is real. If they go to court, they won't. Why? Because Cassandra is still my daughter, Gerald said, pouring himself a drink. And daughters always choose blood over love, especially when legacy is involved. Cassandra, caught in between. That night, Cassandra sat on her bed, torn between two worlds. On one side was her father, the man who raised her, protected her, funded her dreams, a man who might have killed her mother, a man who still controlled the world's most powerful media empire. On the other side was Nathaniel, a man who left her on their wedding day, yes, but to save his dying mother, a man who now fought beside her to expose the truth. She closed her eyes and whispered, "What if I'm wrong again?" A knock came at the door. It was her aunt. "Cassie," she said softly, "you're doing the right thing. Your mother would be proud. But what if the world turns on me? Then let them. You're not doing this for the world. You're doing it for justice." Nathaniel, a promise renewed. At Kane Tech, Nathaniel prepared a legal team with one goal: bring down Gerald Royce. They had gathered enough evidence to submit an official complaint. The case was strong, but it would take time. That night, Nathaniel met Cassandra again, this time with no pressure, no drama, just honesty. "I need to ask you something," he said. She looked at him. "If we do this, if we take down your father, you might lose your family name, your company shares, everything." "I know," she said. "Then why are you still here?" She stepped closer. "Because some vows don't need a wedding to matter." Gerald, final warning. The next morning, Gerald sent Cassandra a private message. No threats, no drama. Just a video message of a mother, smiling, recorded months before she died. In it, her mother said, "No matter what happens, protect the Royce name. It's your birthright." Cassandra watched the video 5 times, then deleted it. Court documents filed. That week, Nathaniel and Cassandra filed a formal legal complaint against Gerald Royce, accusing him of unlawful financial manipulation, abuse of corporate power, obstruction in the medical treatment of his late wife, attempt to defame and sabotage business rivals. News broke instantly. Gerald Royce sued by his own daughter and former son-in-law. Cameras flashed. Headlines screamed. Lawyers made statements. Supporters of both sides began to clash online. Some called Cassandra a traitor. Others called her a hero. But deep inside, she felt both. The setback. Just when things seemed to turn, Gerald made a final move. He released a new video. It showed Cassandra crying at the wedding venue, heartbroken, shaking, alone. He edited it to include a narrator's voice. She waited for him. He never came. And now she defends him. The public exploded again. She's lost her mind. They deserve each other, both liars. She betrayed her own blood. Cassandra collapsed on her hotel floor that night. The weight of everything, judgment, betrayal, fear, pushed her down. Nathaniel rushed over and held her tight. "They don't know you," he whispered. "But I do." A flicker of hope. The next morning, something unexpected happened. The nurse who treated Margaret Kane, Nathaniel's mother, came forward. She posted a video online. "Nathaniel Kane is not a liar. I saw him arrive at the hospital, dressed in white, shaking, crying, holding his mother's hand. I was there. I signed her death report. And I will testify." The video went viral. Suddenly, the public began to soften. Maybe we judged him too harshly. That girl gave up everything to stand with him. Maybe this love is real. A choice to make. The legal battle had begun, but Cassandra stood at a new crossroad. Gerald's team offered her a deal, drop the case, return to the family, and receive full control of the Royce media empire in 5 years. Or continue with a lawsuit and lose everything. She stared at the offer on paper. Legacy or love? The door opened. Nathaniel stepped in. He didn't say a word. He didn't try to sway her. He just stood, silent, waiting. And then she took the paper and ripped it in half. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and share.